Okay, I'm going to be doing a quick tutorial on opening doors in UE4, both automatic doors and open on use doors. I've got my sliding door set up here already, along with the blueprint configuration needed. I'll just delete all this and show you how it's done from scratch. So, set up your door. In my case, I've got my two shiny metal doors. Once that's done, the first thing you want is a matinee. So I'll just bring that a little bit closer so it's easy to find. So once you've got your matinee, select the objects you want to move. In this case, I've selected door left. Back into your matinee, then right click in this empty spot here, add new empty group, door left, now right click on the group and add new movement track. It's keyed in its current location at 0. We want it to open maybe 1.5 seconds is a good time for it to open. Go back in, move it to where we want it in 1.5 seconds. That looks about good to me. Back into the matinee, enter. Do be careful that you don't actually knock this, because otherwise it's going to reset the location of the door, and that's going to be a pain. So we'll just double check that it looks good to us. Stop, start. Yep, that looks good. Now we'll do it for the other side. Door right, same matinee, add new empty group. On the new group, new movement track. Alright, keyed at 0 again. By the way, best to have your snap on for these kind of things. It snaps it to whatever you set it to, in my case 0.5 seconds, so it's going to snap for every half second. It's pretty useful when you've got a lot of doors, for example, in your scene and you want them to have the same opening and shutting rate. So I'm in 1.5 seconds. We want it about here. Back in, enter, keyed. Okay, there we go, simple. That's our door opening. But now we want this door to open when the player walks up to it. And for that we need a trigger box, or box trigger. So grab one, drag it into your scene. And we need to make it big enough that the player is actually going to trigger it before walking right up into the door and smacking your nose, because that's going to be a pain. And that'll do for now. I assume you're going to want your door to open from the other side as well. If not, you can always just move it like that. Okay. For the time being, I'm just going to leave. Actually, no, I'll name it tube door trigger. Right. Now we go into our blueprints. So having our trigger box selected, we go into blueprints, we go right click, add events, collision, add on actor begin overlap, which basically means it's going to trigger when the player walks into it. Now we want to go back, select our matinee, and right click on the blueprint, create reference to matinee, then drag off this pin, search play, play. Connect those there, and now when the trigger box is activated, the door opens. Easy. That's the basics, but we want a bit more than that. For one thing, the door doesn't actually shut yet. So we'll go back into our blueprint. Yep, matinee still selected. Go back into the blueprint, create reference. This time we want it to reverse. So what reverse will do is it will play the matinee backwards, essentially shutting the door again. We don't want that to happen straight away though, so we want to put in a delay of about 3 seconds maybe? Sounds good for a test anyway. Alright. Walk up, door opens. Yep, and door shuts. Awesome. Alright, that's our automatic door. And if all you want is an automatic door, this is where you stop. If you, however, want the door to open on button press, it's a bit more difficult. Well, not difficult, a bit more complicated. So what we're going to want to do now is remove the trigger there. Don't delete it, we still need it. but we no longer want that to trigger the matinee. What we want is the button press. I'm going to use E, just type keyboard E to search it, because it's pretty common. And we want E to open the door. I'll just show you there. There you go, I pressed E, opens the door, easy. But obviously we don't want E to open the door regardless of where the player is. We want E to open the door only when the player is in this trigger box. So we want an if branch, so that E pressed, the branch will check a particular condition, and if that condition is true, it will then play. The condition we want is the player in here? If the player is in the trigger box, then they can open the door. So we need a variable. I've accidentally left one from before. I'll just add a new one. Drag that in, set on. So when the player walks into the trigger box, this variable will be turned on. If this variable is turned on, then it can be played. The door can be opened. Works like this. So pressing E, nothing happening. Walk up to the door, press E, excellent. Alright, there is a little bit more though, because as you can tell, if I walk away from the door, press E, door still opens. That's because the trigger box, the variable is still on from me walking to the trigger box. So now we want to add a little bit extra to disable that variable. Same trigger box selected, but this time we're going to right click and go on actor end overlap. So on actor end overlap, we want this variable turned off. Okay. Pressing E, nothing. Walk up to the door, press E, door opens. Excellent. We walk away from the trigger box, door does not open. Alright, that's what we want. And that's pretty much it. And of course, this kind of blueprint system can be used for a number of different things, but doors are generally where people start. It's certainly where I started. If you weren't sure, you can do the same thing with non-sliding doors. This would work exactly the same, except in the matinee, you have this rotation selected when you move it and key its locations, rather than like that. Alright, hopefully this all made sense. If not, let me know, I'll try and clarify things.